Ngwanani mwalelepo fukenjani kleklas vadawe Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show, bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. It is Wednesday, the 20th of March, which means it is one day before Namibia's Independence Day, and there's a lot to celebrate. The gains of liberation are absolutely palpable in this diverse and indeed united nation. Are you excited for tomorrow?
I'm quite excited for it.
I love Namibian freedom.
And I also like that it's going to be celebrated, you know, up north. In Katima Mulilo.
All right.
So I'm quite excited.
So the official celebrations.
Official celebrations,
all right.
That's what I meant. Of course, you can celebrate anywhere in Namibia.
Absolutely.
Wherever you find yourself. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. I'll probably be just at home or watching the celebrations on TV. And of course, AGM would also be live tomorrow morning.
Yes, so, of course. Every reason to be proud in Namibia.
Exactly. Now getting into what you can expect in today's broadcast. Gambian lawmakers postpone debate to overturn FGM ban. Many hospitals in China stop newborn delivery services as birth rate drops, and at least 100 villagers kidnapped in the latest mass abduction in northern Nigeria. Namibia to celebrate 34th independence anniversary in Katima Mulilo. We'll also be talking to Ari Hohat, who will be filling us in on the latest news in Mzansi. We'll be right back after this.
Our top stories. An attempt to repeal a 2015 ban on female genital cutting in Gambia was sent for further committee discussions by lawmakers on Monday. Gambian activists fear the passage of the bill would overturn years of work to better protect girls and women. The legislation was referred to a national committee for further debate and could return to a vote in the weeks and months ahead. Activists in the largely Muslim country had warned that lifting the ban would hurt years of work against a procedure often performed on girls under age 5 in the mistaken belief that it would control their sexuality. The procedure, which has also been called female genital mutilation, is very invasive and it can cause serious bleeding, death and childbirth complications, but remains widespread as a practice in parts of Africa.
Now, many hospitals in China have stopped offering newborn delivery services this year, state-backed news outlet Daily Economics News reported, with industry experts warning of an obstetric winter due to declining demand amid a record drop in new births. Hospitals in various provinces, including in eastern Zhejiang and southern Jiangxi, have in the past 2 months announced that they will close their obstetric departments, according to notices viewed by Reuters. The Fifth People's Hospital of Ganzhou City in Jiangxi said on its official WeChat account that obstetric services would be suspended from March the 11th. Jiaxing's Jiangshan Hospital of Traditional Medicine announced on its WeChat page that its obstetric business would stop from February the 1st. The closures come as Chinese policymakers grapple with how to boost young couples' desires to have children as authorities face a growing demographic headache of a rapidly aging society. China's population fell for a second consecutive year in 2023 as a record low birth rate and high deaths due to COVID-19 accelerated a downturn that officials fear will have profound long-term effects on the economy's growth potential.
Now, armed gangs attacked two villages in Nigeria's northwest and seized at least 100 people from their homes, residence, and a state official told the Associated Press in the latest mass abduction in the region. The gunmen attacked communities in Kaduna State's Kajuru Council area on Saturday and Sunday, said Usman Dalami Stingo, who represents Kajuru in the state legislature. Now, Kaduna State is where nearly 300 school children were abducted less than 2 weeks ago. The latest kidnappings, like the previous one, have been blamed on bandit groups known for mass killings and kidnappings in Nigeria's northwestern and central regions. Most of the bandits were previously herders in conflict with local communities. The kidnappers attacked the Dogon Noma community near early Saturday and abducted 14 women, and then attacked the Kajuru Station community on Sunday night and seized 87 people.
Now, Ugandan security forces are on high alert after they said fighters from an Islamic State-linked group entered the country at the weekend. The Allied Democratic Forces militants are planning attacks in urban areas, places of worship, schools, and public events, according to the army. It urged the public to remain vigilant to avoid being victims of ADF terror. The ADF has been linked to a series of deadly attacks in Uganda, including targeting a school last June. The group was originally formed in Uganda in the 1990s by people disgruntled with the government's treatment of Muslims. But after being routed by the army, the remnants fled across the border to the Democratic Republic of Congo. In 2021, Uganda and DR Congo launched a joint offensive to drive the ADF out of their Congolese strongholds, but have so far failed to put an end to the group's attacks.
Now, Namibia will tomorrow, Thursday, the 21st of March, celebrate its 34th Independence Day under the theme, A People United for Prosperity. The celebrations will be held at the Katima Mulilo Sports Stadium in the Zambezi region from 8 a.m. 21 March is marked as a public holiday on all Namibians' calendars and commemorates Namibia becoming a sovereign state. Namibia's fourth president, Dr. Nangola Mbumba, who was sworn in February this year following the untimely passing of President Hage Geingob, is expected to deliver a keynote address during the event, which will also be marked by celebratory traditions, including cultural performances, as well as a 21-gun salute. Now, Zambezi region will host the celebratory event for the first time this year. Previously known as Southwest Africa, Namibia became a German colony in 1884 under Otto von Bismarck. In 1904, the German occupiers systematically executed over 10,000 natives of Namibia. After Germany's defeat in World War I, the country was taken over by South Africa. After World War II, following the UN's sanctions, South Africa was asked to give up control over Namibia, which it refused, and in the 1970s, the revolt for independence began. In 1988, South Africa agreed to give Namibia its much-awaited freedom, and on 21 March 1990, Namibia gained its freedom and the country was renamed the Republic of Namibia. Dr. Sam Nujoma subsequently was chosen as the first president of the Republic of Namibia. Those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning. We talk to Hari Hogad after the break.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
All right, a pending decision on whether Umkhonto weSizwe Party's registration for the 2024 election will stand, and naturally that continues to intensify the political scene in South Africa. Here to give us that story and more is Ari Hogad. Good morning, Ari.
Yes, a very good morning, Ashwin and everyone. Election talks, election actions intensify in South Africa, so it's getting closer and closer. End of May, of course, election time. What's happening is that the ANC went to the electoral court, that is to have the Umkhonto weSizwe Party's registration to be found not legal. And so it's a big statement, a big call that they asked for. And it's going back to August last year, when the first application of the MK party was turned back by the IECs. They said they needed, there's problems with the signatures. They rectified it, and they did it in September. So it was lots of arguments. That's what it's all about. It is the face there of former President Jacob Zuma on the banners, and it's in court to a Sizwe party also using the logo of the military arm of the ANC, the Mkhonto we Sizwe. So there's lots of technical things. The ANC say that Mkhonto we Sizwe, the name was for 112 years, it was the intellectual property and the military wing of the ANC. Now it's a political party not linked to the ANC. And so it is a very strong legal party or legal representation for the MK party there. It's former President Jacob Zuma's legal person, that is Advocate Dali Mpofu, that's arguing for the MK party. What happened outside of the court, it was President Jacob Zuma that was at the court. He said that he's using the MK party to claim back the ANC. So it's big statements he's making, and he referred to the ANC as the party used to know. So there's lots of frustration between the MK party and the ANC. But the reality on the ground is that there's massive support, especially in Durban and KwaZulu-Natal and parts of Gauteng, for the MK party. And it is understood that even in KwaZulu-Natal, the MK party might get more votes than the ANC. So that's still pending. They still need to rule on this. But in fact, the ANC asked for the registration not to be found illegal. So we'll see what happens there.
Waldo, keep us posted on the final judgment. Now moving on to your next story. National platinum producers in South Africa look set to cut thousands of jobs as the global metal price continued to plunge.
It's a global challenge for South Africa, but obviously South Africa and Namibia are big mining countries. So the platinum mines under pressure. South Africa under pressure. The jobless rate still at the moment 32.1% in South Africa. That's not news we want to hear. As many as 6,000 jobs might be cut from the platinum producers. So Matthew Parks, he's from the Congress of South African Trade Unions. He was also concerned about what's happening there, but the reality is that there's not a good international price at the moment. Also, it is Vodacom that's also in a challenge. It's South Africa's second biggest wireless company. So it's actually Africa's largest big company. And so they also look to step down jobs in Johannesburg, just 80 jobs, but it's on all levels. It's from management to lower level. They have 5,400 people working for them, Vodacom. But what happened was they have, in the 6 months ending September, they had their income rose by 8% to 8.5 billion. But the problem was that they also had a big jump in their cost, and that jumped to 30%, 37% more to 28 billion. So it is a challenge for Vodacom at the moment. So many companies in South Africa a bit under pressure economically.
Understandably so. We'll certainly be looking forward to seeing how all of that continues to unfold. Now, I'm going to ask that you put your next two stories together, considering they're around the same theme. The management of water systems countryside remains in the news as Johannesburg residents try to reduce water consumption. And the South African public prosecutor, Koleka Klaleka, also started to step in on the water crisis with meetings with the Minister of Water and Sanitation, Senzo Mchuna.
Yes, Ashwin, they're stepping in because there's a big challenge. The Minister of Water and Sanitary is under pressure, and it is more to do there. That's the Minister of Water and Sanitation in South Africa, Senzo Mchuna, and the challenge is for cooperation on the three spheres of government, they call it. That's provincial level, or national level first, provincial and local level. So there's a challenge there, everybody working together. That's reality on the ground. People needing to get water from different sources. The taps are running dry, and it is got to do mostly in Gauteng. There's also challenges in Kimberley, some challenges in Cape Town. We're concerned in South Africa that's something that's all of a sudden threatening South Africa in a similar way to electricity. It's a domino effect from load shedding mostly, because when there's load shedding and there's pressure on the pumping stations, there's pump stations that trip because of lightning as well. But there's also maintenance that needs to be done. So the they ran water, and the department said they have a 100-year plan. Normally you have a 10, 20, 50-year plan, but they say they have a 100-year plan. That's a disgruntled people in Johannesburg saying they've had enough. But the 100-year plan is about roads and stormwater and waste management and obviously electricity and sanitation. So there is a plan, and so they need to put it in place. It's going to be expensive, but at least there's urgency. So hopefully they would learn from what Eskom failed in, and that the water process will be a lot better, but it's a lot to do with maintenance as well. So I'm sure that they can fix it, but it's a long-term plan, but little steps will help South Africa to have water throughout the country. The dams are fine, just briefly. The dams are full. Katsa Dam in Lesotho that supplies to South Africa, supply to Gauteng, is 95% full. There's enough water in the dams up north, in the northern part of the country. And interestingly enough, South Africa pay 1.3 billion South African rand for all the water they get from Lesotho. So that's an interesting stat as well. But so hopefully they can get the infrastructure fixed. So that's the South African news. Have a blessed day, everyone.
Thank you very much, Ari.
Now let's take a look at our weather predictions before we return with economic news.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Getting into our economic news stories, the widespread violence that took over Haiti's capital on February 29 has brought even more fears of a humanitarian crisis in the country. In one of the shelters for displaced families in capital Port-au-Prince, hundreds fight to get the cooked meals distributed by the World Food Programme. Thousands of families are living in shelters after being forced to flee their homes because of gang activity in their neighborhoods, and are almost totally dependent on food distributed by the World Food Programme and Haitian government institutions like the Civil Defense.
Now, Japan's central bank has raised the cost of borrowing for the first time in 17 years. The Bank of Japan increased its key interest rate from minus 0.1% to a range of 0 to 0.1%. It comes as wages have jumped after consumer prices rose. In 2016, the bank cut the rate below zero in an attempt to stimulate the country's stagnating economy. The hike means that there are no longer any countries left with negative interest rates. When negative rates are enforced, people have to pay to deposit money in a bank.
All right, those have been our economic news stories. We're going to head over to the indicators just before Ari comes back with the sport.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with soccer news first, and not good news for Nottingham Forest in the English Premier League. They were penalised 4 positions or 4 lock points. That is because they breached the profit and sustainability rules of the English Premier League. That is based on losses they made in the 2022-2023 season, and so they have 4 lock points taken away. The penalty of 4 lock points relates to them being in the last 3 at the moment. They're in the relegation zone. They're in 18th position now on 21 points, 19th Burnley on 17 points, and last and 20th position at the moment is Sheffield United on 14 league points. The rules state that the club can make losses of 35 million euros per year, or combined 105 million euros over 3 years, but it is unfortunately Nottingham Forest that made losses of 61 million euros in the year 2022-2023. Reports indicate that they will likely appeal the 4 points penalty. Continuing international sports news with cricket news, amidst T20 women's cricket, it is England touring New Zealand, and the first T20 international was played in Dunedin, and it is the visitors England that won that game by 27 runs. England batting first, a good competitive score of 160 for the loss of 4 wickets, with captain Heather Knight scoring a fast 63 runs from just 39 deliveries. New Zealand battled, they could only accumulate 133 for the loss of 5 in their 20 overs, and the second T20 game in the series will be played on Friday. That will be in Nelson. And concluding today's international sports news with tennis news, the ATP and the WTA Tour tournaments now move from California on the west side of the USA to the east side to Florida. That will be the Miami Open tennis tournament that's started. And the news from the tournament on the women's side of the draw is that Emma Raducanu from Great Britain, she withdrew from the tournament because of a lower back spasm, and she was the 2021 US Open champion. The number 1 seed in the tournament is Iga Swiatek, that won the Indian Wells the past weekend, and then number 2 seed Aryna Sabalenka. Number 3 seed will be Coco Gauff of the USA. All of these seeds will only be in action for the first time on Friday. On the men's side of the draw, it is also first action for the seeded players on Friday, and news from the men's side of the draw is that Novak Djokovic, the world number 1, had withdrew from the tournament, so he's not going to be able to play because of injury. The number 1 seed will be Carlos Alcaraz, and he was also the winner in Indian Wells the past weekend. Number 2 seed in the tournament will be Yannick Sinner. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day, and we talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraifa. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
Thank you for staying with Africa. Good morning. Let's have a look at the highlights from the broadcast. Gambian lawmakers postpone debate to overturn FGM ban. Many hospitals in China stop newborn delivery services as birth rate drops. WFP fears more hunger amid gang violence in Haiti.
And with that, we've come to the end of the broadcast. From me, Glenn Rashipura.
And me, Ashwin Berry, we are looking forward to Independence Day. Sura Shakaraka.